Welcome to this week's episode of Snap Chaps. I am Gathron. I'm what we might say is a casual Marvel Snap player, and I'm joined by my good friend Hoagiez, who is on the opposite end of the spectrum, a semi-competitive Snap player. And through this podcast, we're going to enjoy discussing the game that we both love. And I'm going to learn a lot, and Hoagiez is going to teach you and me and everyone a lot. And we're going to enjoy learning more about the game through our experiences. And we hope that you, our listeners, are also going to learn something you maybe didn't realize about the game, and also just enjoy our conversation and have fun with us, and maybe someday play the game with us as well. Why not, right? How are you doing, Hoagies?
I'm good. I'm excited for our inaugural episode. And I've got a topic that I wanted to start with, just kind of a casual topic, semi-related to Marvel Snap, which is the recent Tiny Desk concert by Post Malone. Just I'm curious if you have watched it.
You did send me the link to that during the week, and this was a busy week for me, so I did not have a chance to watch it. And I'm not the biggest Post Malone fan, full disclosure,
Okay.
so I did not watch it.
Okay. Fair enough. I think he's an acquired taste. But I have been like,
Unlike Marvel Snap.
well, okay, great. Well, so I recommend watching it because I think that because it's like acoustic, and I think it kind of like some of his recordings can get a little weird, and I think the Tiny Desk concert is like a little less weird than the recordings. But I've been really obsessed with this Tiny Desk concert, and so is my son. I have a 5-year-old son, and
Hmm.
we're listening to it together in the car a lot, and we watch it together. And um, tying it back to Marvel Snap, a couple months ago, there was a picture that surfaced on Reddit. I don't know if Post Malone tweeted this or what, but a picture of him getting a tattoo and playing Marvel Snap on his phone while he was getting this tattoo, and it was just like it just made me feel so good to see someone famous like that having such an awesome hobby, and it shows like the mobility of the game, right? Like I do love the mobile first concept. He's getting a tattoo and just pulls out his phone and is playing Marvel Snap and kind of easing the pain of that the tattoo. And so another Marvel related aspect of Post Malone is I think he recorded this song Sunflower for the movie. Into the Spider-Verse. That's like one of the first songs in that movie, and it's another thing
Okay.
my son loves about Post Malone is that song is in that movie, and there's a it comes back later. When Miles is on the ceiling, he can't it's like he's learning how to use his like sticky powers, and he can't unstick himself from the ceiling, and and then like Peter B. Parker tells him, or asks him, what do you do to relax? That's what you got to do. And so he starts singing this Post Malone song to relax, and like, my son
Oh.
just loves that part, and so do I. And it's like, I guess for me, I have a new answer to the age old question: who, if you could sit by anyone on an airplane, who would it be? I would love to sit next to Post Malone and talk about Marvel Snap. He's done some collaborations with Magic the Gathering. That's how I first learned about him, was like this awesome collaboration with Magic the Gathering. Hoping
Let's have our staff reach out to him. Maybe he can join our podcast in
yeah,
a future podcast.
next week, Post Malone is joining.
Yeah, coming. You heard it here first. Get back on YouTube to follow that episode. We'll have our producer make some contacts for sure. That's interesting. Okay, that's cool. I missed the last Spider first episode, so I think I'm pretty much in the dark on this topic. However, I know who Post Malone is, and I guess if your son gets tattoos on his face in the future, then we also know who to who his major influences are. But that would be cool, and I think what you're saying just like really points to the universality of the game, right? The kind of mainstream interest everybody loves has loved Marvel via comics or via the movies, the MCU, and now the gamers also have something for them to kind of tie all the pieces together. So thanks for sharing that. That's a fun little topical news item. I'll do my homework and I'll watch that Tiny Desk concert for next time. And maybe in our episode you can share the link. We'll share the link at the bottom if our listeners also want to check that out. So we're going to, in addition to Post Malone, which is big news, um, there's been every week there's a lot happening in the Marvel Snap universe. And as a casual, I'm not always having my finger on the pulse, but Hoagiez has multiple fingers and toes on the pulse, and so he's going to let us know any big news items for that happened for the week. So, what do you got for us, Hoagiez?
Yeah, particularly big week. And I agree. There is always a lot going on, that's one thing I love about the game is they're, Second Dinner, the company that makes Marvel Snaps, very, very committed to the game. They're doing a lot to evolve the game, and they had a huge week. So I already alluded to this that, Marvel Snap has been a mobile first game for most of its life. But that changed this week. So Second Dinner has been working on this PC user interface for a long time, and there's been a little impatience in the community really wanting this. But I have to say it was worth the wait. Like the new interface just looks great. It's very smooth. Graphics are awesome. The layout, that it's a widescreen layout on PC now. And previously they did have a PC kind of just like basically emulating the portrait view, which just doesn't look good on PC. But it looks great. I know streamers are very happy. Like if you go onto Twitch and watch a stream, like it looks fantastic now. And
So,
yeah, very very excited about this.
so I just want to jump in, and I'm a Mac user, so I was not able to partake in this rollout. Why do you think the community was so impatient for this PC version? Because I mean, for me, it's just a mobile game, and I like the fact that it's a mobile game. If I like I played like Elden Ring. If I could play Elden Ring on my phone, then it'd be like a different experience for me. It's kind of like I do one thing here, I do another thing over there. So like, why did do you think that the Snap community was thirsting for this?
Yeah, good question. I think it's I think a lot of Marvel Snap players are used to playing games on their PC. That a lot of them are PC gamers at heart. They're coming from games that you can play on PC. Like Hearthstone has a great PC experience, as well as Magic the Gathering Arena is a great PC experience. I'm sure there are many other card games like that look great on PC. And then Marvel Snap content creators, I think, have a big influence on the community, and they have platforms, so we hear from them a lot, and they are really really wanting this because they're creating content to be viewed on Twitch, on YouTube, on the computer, and it looks, I think they were absolutely right that it just looks a lot better
Hmm.
for their content to be on just a great widescreen experience as opposed to the portrait view that you get on your phone.
Okay, interesting. And I know that there's like within the game, there's the daily rewards, which I've been racking up on my phone. But I suppose I think we were chatting about previously that there's also PC rewards for going in through your Steam account, right?
Well, I think there was confusion around that. I think initially when because they said the rewards were to celebrate this PC launch, I think a lot of us just assumed you have to log in on your PC to get those rewards. But those are, but I was corrected on someone posted on Twitter slash X that that actually you just have to log in anywhere to get those rewards. So those ones that you're getting, those are the only. Well, there are two rewards. There's the rewards for logging into the game. It doesn't matter where you log in from. It's to celebrate the PC launch, but you don't have to be on PC to get those. So those are every day. As long as you log in once a day, you're going to get that reward. I think there's seven of them for the next 3 days now. Um, and then the other is actually the next bullet here on the screen. Twitch drops is a new feature that they rolled out to coincide, very smartly rolled this out to coincide with the PC launch. So they announced this PC launch at Gamescom, a big gaming convention, and they also rolled out Twitch drops at the same time, which was just like amazing timing for this because so it's Twitch drops. What that means is it's another reward where for logging in to Twitch, the streaming platform, and watching streamers, any Marvel Snap content creators streaming on Twitch. And so it's those are time based. So if you for every 2 hours you watch, you get a variant. Um, and so there's three. I think there are three total. So if you watch a total of 6 hours, you get all three of those variants. And this is just this, the combination of the PC launch and the Twitch drops at the same time just like blew up Marvel Snap. So I think on like Wednesday, Marvel Snap was the number one game for a while that people were watching on Twitch, which is really huge. And there was what's his name? Dexter is a streamer he was the number one viewed streamer for several hours. And like so just incredible for him. And so many content creators were getting just like 10 times the amount of viewers that they normally get. And it's a lot of just big name gamers were playing it and streaming it. And so it's just a lot of really positive attention for the game this week, which is awesome for those of us who love it because the more people who play it, just the more Second Dinner can do with it, and they're doing an amazing job already. But they can invest all if they're making more money off it, they can invest all that money back into the game and do some. I don't. Now that PC launches out, I don't know what they're gonna work on next, right? Like they've got they have shared a roadmap, so I guess I kind of know. But what big thing a lot of us are asking for is a draft mode. So hopefully that'll be the next kind of big addition to the game.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it seems like what they are, their kind of social media or their promotion efforts are, yeah, they're yielding results. So that's good.
They fired
That's
on all cylinders this week. Just like the other two quick bullet points, I'll cover these really fast. Twitch Rivals was also coincided with this. It's a tournament for content creators. But I mean, one thing that's fun about it is that they gave them deck building constraints. So they had this tournament where they it's not just bring any deck. They gave them some constraints and a limited amount of time to build decks with these constraints. So that was fun, and again, that just synergized with these other efforts this week. SnapCon is a Snap gaming convention in Tampa. It's happening right now as we speak. So there's a
Whoa.
tournament there. It's organized by the community. It's just organized by content creators mainly, and uh, they're doing an awesome job with it. And yeah, it's just there's a lot going on in the community, a lot of great stuff. I am not at SnapCon right now.
Is this
I
the
guess
first ever SnapCon?
first ever SnapCon. Um, hoping I can make it next year. It looks like a lot of fun.
Interesting. Okay, so that's cool. Maybe we'll both be there.
I think that should be our goal. I was actually thinking we should have a goal for, just figure out what our goal is for number of downloads, number of views for our podcast. And if we hit that goal, then we're going to Snap.
All right, well, you heard it here first. The the gauntlet has been thrown down. We need to. You know what? We will decide what our goals are, and I think next time, our next episode, we will announce what our goals are. I think we're going to try and set the bar as low as possible. I think that would be strategic. But well, thanks for catching us up on all of that. I think there's a lot of meat left on that bone, and I think we can you can let us well, next time maybe we'll hear big news, what happened at SnapCon, who won, or any other interesting tidbits. But yes, definitely this week is a great week, not just because of the PC launch, but also the launch of this podcast. So it's great timing for us, where we're kind of going with the rising, what is it? The rising tide lifts all boats. So here we go. And so let's so something that we're going to do every episode is we're going to do a card review, and we're going to have a look at the last card that came out, and also the card that's coming out next week, because every week Marvel Snap releases a new card. And so card that that was released last week was X-23. And so X-23, you can see it right there. It has a cost of 1 and a power of 2. And just for those Marvel comic character heads out there, X-23 is a cloned version of Wolverine, and also, I guess, later becomes Wolverine's adopted daughter. Neither of us are hardcore Marvel Comics fans, but I think that actually I'm more of a Marvel Comics fan than Hoagiez is. Is that right?
I haven't read much X-Men. There are some Marvel, like I read all of the Infinity Wars stuff, and so just dabbled here and there. I enjoy it. I've had the Marvel Unlimited subscriptions in the past. Always meaning to get back into it, but I spend all my time playing Marvel Snap. So
And you're also really into the MCU as well. That's for sure.
Very much.
So X-23, the ability for this card is when it's discarded or destroyed, regenerate it at a random location, and you get +1 energy next turn. So it's a little variation on the existing Wolverine card in that it can't be discarded or destroyed. And I think in our last conversation, you said that you saw this card having a lot of impact. So what did you see in the past week? Did this card have a big deal? What decks or strategies did this affect? What can you tell us?
I guess my overall opinion is something I suspected a lot. I think a lot of the community suspected this, is that there's a ceiling to how good destroy cards can be because of armor. Namely armor. Cosmo is another counter that I think this card is awesome. She's a lot of fun. I did open her in a Spotlight Cache. Really, a lot of fun. There's a lot of really good destroy decks. I think the best one is a Deadpool deck. It's really nice to see Deadpool becoming good. He's always been a really fun card, but I think like this makes Deadpool really good, because Deadpool's problem has been it's hard to play Deadpool on turn 6 with another like big card, right? If you want to play like Null with Deadpool, like you can't. And so X-23 really enables that. But again, for me, my biggest problem with this card is that armor exists, and I do think that this card is so good that I need to run armor. Basically, I was this week as I was playing with X23, I liked it, but was getting frustrated when I lost to armor, and then I switched to playing some other decks, and I felt I needed to have armor. I did not want to lose to some of those like giant Deadpools, giant Nimrods, X23. But if I have armor in my deck, like it just makes a lot of
You
sense
shut it down.
to shut it down. Exactly.
Well, so yeah, it's interesting. So I've been playing this week, and I'm not. I don't have all the cards, and I don't buy the cards, and so therefore I don't. I didn't get X23, so I had no opportunity to use it. And the last our first unpublished episode last time, you taught me. We were talking about the Snap economy, and you told me what the kind of advanced strategy is for actually pulling the cards that you want from the collectors. What are those? The random collectors chests.
Spotlight caches.
Uh, yeah, there you go. The spotlight caches, and so now I'm now what? So what the revelation was that you don't have to actually cash those in. You can just wait until you accumulate three of them, and then essentially wait until there's a spotlight that has the exact cards that you're looking to get, and then cash all of them in to make sure that you get the cards you're looking for. Well, that takes a long time. It's going to take a long time for me to accumulate three because I feel like it's about one per week. That's about how long it took me to kind of get naturally up to to earn my one spotlight cash, which I did not use. And so in the course of my playing during the week, I think I only saw this card maybe twice, and I definitely see how useful it can be in terms of like getting that extra energy up for you, which I think is also really important in a destroyed deck. But to be honest, where I really would have loved this card is in this new discard deck that I'm using. And the problem is that I don't really have any low cost like or even ones that I really want to use in this deck. And I think that while obviously this would be an essential in every single destroy deck, I think also it can be really helpful in the discard decks as like a kind of a low, like a low pain early game card because I've got my blade. It would be the other like one cost card, but sometimes I don't want to use that because I might be discarding something that I want to have in the future. So this is a great just get it out on the table. And then I think also there can be I feel like certain decks just aren't equipped to handle certain locations very well. Like all cards are destroyed at this location or that type of thing. So I think this also adds a kind of wild card element into the mix that's kind of just good to have in your bag of tricks out there, I think, in your deck.
Absolutely.
That's kind of my take on that. Any other thoughts on X23?
No, I am very curious to see if she ends up in some top meta decks. Like my feeling right now is that she's just not is that Destroy just suffers too much from counters. But I will say a counterpoint to that is I did, I was watching some of the tournaments this weekend. There's that SnapCon tournament. There's also one in Hong Kong happening right now. Um, and I did see some Destroy, some good players were playing Destroy decks in the tournaments. So I think there still could be potential for X23 to really be a top card. Um, and I'm gonna keep running armor in my other decks. Um, okay, so should we move on to Silver
Yeah,
Samurai?
Silver Samurai. All right, so this has a cost of 4 and it has a power of 5. This is the first time I have seen this. Um, and so the ability is it's an on reveal, and the ability is that each player discards the lowest power card from their hand. So, so this seems like another discard on my initial read, right? There's like a Moon Knight is another card that you and your opponent both discard from, but this one is more targeted in that it hits those lowest power cards. So maybe this kind of would work in tandem with the card that we just saw. Um, what do you think the strategy is for this one?
Yeah, so this one comes out this Monday night, and U.S. Central Time. And so all speculation from here. We don't know yet. There's a lot of hype around Silver Samurai. One thing that stands out to me right away is being a 4 cost, fits in a Zabu deck. Um, and another one is kind of some anti-synergy with a Zabu Darkhawk deck in that he can target Darkhawk. And Darkhawk, Zabu Darkhawk decks, one of the most powerful decks in the game for a very long time. It's kind of an evergreen deck that, sometimes, a lot. Right now, I think we're in a meta where there's a super powerful move deck that I think is better than the Darkhawk deck. But something happens to that deck, Darkhawk very well might pop back up to number one. But again, if it does, Silver Samurai targets Darkhawk in the hand. So you play Silver Samurai, your opponent might be discarding Darkhawk, which is super powerful, especially because Darkhawk is a card that you want to play on turn 6 because you don't want Darkhawk to be Shang-Chi'd. So your opponent's holding Darkhawk till turn 6, you play Silver Samurai turn 3 or turn 4, and there goes Darkhawk. That may finally dethrone Darkhawk from its long time on top of the metagame.
Interesting. So this is kind of actually similar, like a discard version of the Lady Deathstrike, right? As the kind of way to eliminate those like low base cards, but that actually pump up like the Dracula.
Yeah, good. Yeah, great point. I didn't think of that, but yeah, absolutely. And it is something I think that is pretty interesting that we have ways to target high power cards, right? Mainly being Shang-Chi, right? But that's why some of these low power cards are the strongest in the game. And now we have a way to target those
Before they're played.
Yeah. And what,
This could be also like a good Zabu counter deck. So you could, right, you're using Zabu to get this out even earlier potentially.
Yeah, yes, yeah, absolutely. And that's one, yeah, and I was thinking about that because I was like, okay, so it fits in a Zabu deck, but you don't want to run Darkhawk because you don't want to discard Darkhawk. But then I was like, wait, but then there's another 4 power card that brings back a card you discarded, Ghost Rider. And then a lot of people, a really popular deck is the Stature Black Bull, um, along with in the Zabu Darkhawk shell, adding Stature and Black Bolt. This is another proc for Stature, right? So getting your opponent discard a card, then you can play a low cost Stature. And there are a lot of possibilities with that. That's why I think this is probably the most hyped card this season, just because I think there are just so many possibilities, which is like anytime we're speculating on a card, it's always hard to say what it's going to do. But especially when it has a lot of possibilities like this one, that's just more when there's so many possibilities, there's just more opportunity for the community to find someone that's just super busted with it. So I would recommend if you have 4 caches saved up, I'd recommend targeting this card. I'm definitely going to. And yeah. So, any other thoughts on Silver Samurai, Gethra?
No, because actually, so as I was mentioning, I've been working on this discard deck, which is it's I mean when it works it's quite fun, but definitely not I don't think it would win me any tournaments. Not that I play in any tournaments, but doesn't win me a lot of games at the moment. But I was looking at stature in terms of discard, and is Moon Knight the only card currently, like other than this one, that makes your opponent discard a card?
Black Bolt is the more.
Oh, Black Bolt, right?
That's the more popular
right.
partner to Stature, just because you can.
So basically, so you're holding stature as like a turn 6 card, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
I see. Okay. Right. I've honestly never used Black Bolt ever. So I forgot about it.
Black Bolt was considered one of the worst cards in the game for a while, for a long while, until Stature came out. Um, and now there's a very powerful deck with Black Bolt and Stature in it. But otherwise, yeah. I mean, I recommend that if you have Stature, I recommend giving that a try. That is a pretty fun deck.
Okay, interesting. All right, so we will see how the impact of this one in the week ahead. I guess that's sounds like Hoagiez is pretty excited to see that one.
Yep,
So
definitely. So real
yeah,
quick, I wanted to just share this graphic. I cropped this graphic from Marvel Snap Zone. It's not the whole thing. It's a really awesome graphic by Corellis over at Marvel Snap Zone. But wanted to just because we've talked a little bit about strategy for the Spotlight Cash system. So wanted to just talk a little bit more about that. Again, the there has been some criticism of this system for collecting new cards, and a part of the criticism is that for casual players, they don't necessarily understand what is the optimal way to collect cards. And so, like Gathron was saying, we talked about this last week, that really the optimal way to collect new cards is to save your Spotlight caches until you have at least 4 of them, because each week there's a pool of 4 cards. So you want to make sure that you have enough to be able to, in case you low roll, like if you're targeting Silver Samurai this week and you low roll, you have to open all 4 of them to get it. You want to make sure you have 4 so that you're definitely getting the card you want plus the other ones. And I do think it can be a really good system for that. In that if you're missing Kitty Pryde and Spider-Man 2099 this week, it's a really good week to open it because you're guaranteed to get all 3 of those cards if you need all 3 of them.
so yeah, so you said 4. You need 4 collectors caches. I don't they have 3 cards and then there's kind of like a random. So you're saying it's not 3 but it's 4?
It's 4. Yeah, there's essentially 4 spaces in the pool. So you're gonna open up. If you open up 1 Spotlight cache, you're gonna get one of the 3 named cards that they have in that pool, or you're gonna get a 4th random card, and that's a random Series 4 or Series 5 card. And there's no duplicate protection in that, meaning that if you already own the card, that the random Series 4 or Series 5 card, they're going to give you 1,000 collector tokens for that spot in the pool. But then, so let's say that I'll be opening for Silver Samurai tomorrow. So let's say that the first one I open is Kitty Pryde. I actually already have Kitty Pryde, so if the first one I open is Kitty Pryde, I'll get that Kitty Pryde variant, which I really want. So I'll be happy if I get that first. Then my second one is going to be one of the 3 remaining spots. So let's say the second one I get is Silver Samurai. Then it's a really good strategy to stop there for me. If that's the card I really want, Silver Samurai, it's good for me to stop there and just save those other 2 Spotlight caches for the next time I have a card that I want. And that's where I may have a problem. I'll have a decision to make at that point. If that exact scenario happens to me this week, I actually don't have Spider-Man 2099. I didn't buy him when he first came out, just because the consensus of the community is that he wasn't that good. I'm at the point where I kind of want him. I would just want not because he's good, just because I want to try him. I want to get I want to get pretty much all the cards I don't have. So
Yeah,
I may end
that's
up
your real motivation. That's it. You're like the collector.
that's
You
right.
know, you want all of them.
Right, exactly. I am the collector.
And you
On all
also,
the cards.
also last time you said this, you're a whale, right? So you pay.
Yeah, I do
You're a pay
pay.
player.
Yeah, and I was thinking, I think I may be a dolphin, or maybe in between a whale and a dolphin, because I'm not,
Like a porpoise?
yeah, you may, I don't know. Tell us in the chat. Tell us in the chat of what's your definition of a whale versus a
Yeah.
dolphin in this game?
Where,
Because I mean, I think to be a whale, you may need to have every card, which I don't. You may need to be collection complete.
I
I'm
feel
not sure.
I'm going to push back on that. I think a whale is referring, so my definition, and audience, please chime in. I think a whale refers to how much you're spending, like how much money they're getting, right? Because ultimately, I mean, this is a game for us, but it's a business for them. So, like the whales are the ones that they're really after, that kind of all the, I don't know, the machinations are to, so yeah, so maybe, yeah, so yeah, where's the level of a whale? Is Hoagiez just a porpoise? I mean, what yeah, we can get more into this as the many episodes progress. But for me, it's been frustrating, I must say, because I've been playing for a long time, and I suppose this collector cache now offers some way to affect which cards you're getting. I don't. I'm not sure what the system was previously. Maybe we can talk about that another time. But but essentially I've just been kind of cashing in, and then I'm getting stuff that I don't really want. And so because they keep launching all these new cards on a weekly basis, even though I've been playing for years, there's just cards that I just simply don't have. We talked I actually, what I realized this week, I don't have Zabu. I don't have a Galactus. I don't have a Thanos, even though I've been playing and I've seen these cards for so long. And so I do get new cards occasionally, but they're not the ones which will allow me to play the like certain fun decks. And since I'm not paying, and I'm not going to pay, other than I did do the season. Is that what they call it?
Pass.
The season pass. I did. This is the second time I've done the season pass because I wanted the dock in. But yeah, other than that, I'm just not really getting those cards that I really want. So I appreciate that you have enlightened me and now our audience into how to go about doing this and acquiring actually the cards that you really, really want.
Yeah, absolutely. And that so there's another content creator from Marvel Snap Zone, Lauren whatever, who she's done a lot of math on this, and there's a great article about it that she published on Marvel Snap Zone. But her from her perspective, you can act if you just buy the season pass, you can get pretty close to being collection complete. Um, just if you really optimize the system. Um, and
But
so,
because it helps you get closer to the collector's caches.
well, yeah, buying the season pass just gives you a little more like currency in general. You're gonna get 500 gold for one thing, and just she recommends spending the gold on Token Tuesdays to get more collector's tokens. And
Tokens Tuesdays. What's that?
every Tuesday they have a bundle of that's just tokens, I believe. There might be something else in there, but I think it costs 1,400 gold and you get 1,000 tokens. So, and then essentially what she recommends is
Uh,
so you're saving all your collector's caches, right? And basically, like you're trying to spend your collector's caches only on Series 5 cards. Um, and then when a new card is Series 4, instead of spending collector's caches on that, you spend your tokens because the tokens are Series 4 cards only cost 3,000 tokens, whereas Series 5 cards cost 6,000. Um, and and so like, you know, not being collection complete or not, I don't know. I'm curious if you have all the Series 3 cards, but you're missing a lot of Series 4 and Series 5 cards. And so like those weeks when you're opening, 3 or 4 collector's caches, you're getting a lot of cards, right? And that's going to help you like really catch up. And then you'll
so
get to the point
I
where
should
you're
wait. I should wait until I have like three cards and then just really cash it in. Bring the nets in.
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say I would probably lean toward waiting, opening when there's a card that you really want, right? And so looking at this screen, the upcoming cards that we know of, this is stuff that's just been a lot of this is just data mine. So it means that Marvel Snap hasn't confirmed that these are all the cards, but some really smart people have dug into the source code and noticed that this stuff is in there and that it's coming. But if you see that like Zabu, for example, that's one of the most powerful cards on here. Um, so you're missing Zabu. That this September 19th might be a good week to open to make sure you get Zabu. On the other hand, Zabu is a Series 4 card, so maybe you're just targeting him with collector's tokens if you have 3,000 tokens. That's that. No, now I'm saying that out loud. I would probably spend tokens on Zabu. Um,
But still, don't you? I mean, but I don't know. Have they done the math on the value of the collector's cash? Because honestly, this is one of my gripes: is that there's a chance if you already have one of the ones that you're pulling, they're paying you 1,000. So there's basically so you have a chance to get a Series 5, or you have a chance to get 1/3 of a Series 4. That's kind of like a real wah, wah, wah
yeah,
for
yeah.
for your collector's cash, which you've had to spend an entire month or no, an entire week earning up. So
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. That does suck. And that's it's it feels bad, right? And so that's a big problem, I think, for Marvel Snap and Second Dinner is they've developed this system that just makes a lot of players feel bad. You feel really good when you high roll and you get the card you want on your first open. You feel really bad when it takes you 4, and that one of the things that you're getting is just 1,000 tokens, which is not nearly the value of the other things that you're targeting in there. And I'm not a game designer. I guess one thing I will say is that like, as a for-profit business in our capitalist society, I think there is a certain amount of
uh,
like they can't just make you feel good all the time. Like they
all
want you to
right.
feel bad because that's gonna
They're helping us.
that's gonna
Yeah,
persuade you.
they're making us tougher.
Yeah, they're making you tougher, but they're also persuading you to open another cache, right? And spend more and open your pocketbook a little bit. Um, and so it sucks. It feels bad. Maybe it's a necessary evil. A lot of people are going to disagree with me on that. A lot of people will say like they need to find a way to make it feel better, and they may be right. It's hard for me to say.
Well, I mean, personally, personally, well, I mean, you've said that you think that in general, compared to other games, that the Snap is more on the generous side, and I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I would say that in this case, it's a little mark against them. And I mean, you know how I feel about all those pixel variants. Like, might as well toss them in the trash. So why give me 1,000 collector's tokens and a pixel variant, which I'm never going to use. Okay, like why not? Nobody wants those pixel variants. If you like the pixel variants, please tell us in the chat. What's your favorite pixel variant? There are a couple key ones out there, but for the most time, anytime I get, oh, here's a variant and it's a pixel, I'm just like, wah, wah. So I don't know. Maybe that would soften the blow. Two wah wahs at the same time is better than one. So let's we can revisit this as we go through, and maybe what we'll do is once I save up all of my collector's caches, I can open them live on the show, and we can see what I get. We can strategize as we go through here.
That's
So
yes,
let's.
I love it.
What do you think about that? Let's go to our deck review, our deck discussion for the week, and each week Hoagiez is going to choose. He's going to go up to the top, the upper echelon, and share with me and you one of the top awesome decks, and we'll discuss how it works, strengths, weaknesses, substitutions, counters, etc. And so this week, what so tell us the name of the deck and who got it, and then I'll read the deck list.
Okay, that sounds good. So this is just a name I came up with. I call this one Wavy Smooth. And I wanted to share just a little bit of background. I want to absolutely give credit to creators of decks. while that's hard to do sometimes, a lot of times we don't know exactly who created a deck. But to me, this one kind of originated from a content creator and very good player named Lambie Series. But his version is different than this. So he his doesn't have Arrow, Magneto, he or Wave, and I can't remember what else is in that one. But that's a very popular one, very powerful deck. One maybe the best deck in the game right now. And to me, this one is just is a version of that. It's doing a lot of the same things. But this is from Safety Blade, who's another content creator. He's on Marvel Snap Zone as well, writer on Marvel Snap Zone. He's both those guys are incredible. And Safety Blade has posted like 5 different versions of this, and I'm not sure if this is even an exact version that he has posted. And I know he called it. I think like he mainly calls the deck House Hunters because there's characters moving around, so they're looking for a home.
Mm-hmm.
And this deck has won me a lot of games. It's super fun to play. But I'll hand it back to you, Catherine, if you want to talk us through the deck list.
Yeah. So we've got the Nebula, Angela. This is for our audio only audience. I know those video viewers out there can see this. Nebula, Angela, Craven, Jeff, Silk, Wave, Spider-Man, Shang-Chi, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Arrow, Legion, and Magneto. So to my untrained eye, what I'm seeing here is, yes, there's a lot of movement, and there's also not just your own movement, but movement of the opponent's cards via the Arrow and the Magneto. And also, you're moving around a lot on your end there, right? You've got the Jeff, the Silk, the Spider-Man, and the Spider-Man Miles Morales. What does the Spider-Man Miles Morales do again? I think have they changed that?
No, he's still if a card moved last turn, his cost is 1.
Okay, I see. And then there's the Legion in there. So the Legion, we talked last time about how Legion is just like a really powerful card these days and can kind of tilt things in your favor or throw like a really hardcore wrench into the system, especially if you have a lane ability, a location ability that is in your favor. But interesting, because what I'm seeing, I guess what stands out to me is really Craven is the only card that really benefits from the both your and the opponent's movement, but you have 2 cards in here which are moving the opponent's cards around in Magneto and Arrow. So what makes this deck so awesome?
Yeah, great analysis, great observations. All of that is true and more. I think it's sort of complicated, but I guess I've practiced it a lot, and it's getting very easy for me to play. So and very powerful. This deck to me, I think I've gotten like 4 or 5 uh, infinity tickets with this one. I think it's broken. I think there may be a nerf coming to Silk. Honestly, um, it's just so easy to win with this deck. So so like you said, you're trying to buff up Craven. The I think the most important cards in this deck are Angela, Craven, and Silk. Um, but also, I'll talk a little bit more about the Wave, Arrow, and Magneto strategy too. And that's really like I think Safety Blade's addition to this deck that just makes it like incredible. But back to your point about like the cards that move that are buffing up Craven, they are also only on your side, but they're also your strategy is also to buff Angela with those cards. So like one powerful play is like turn 2 Angela, turn 3 Craven, then turn 4 maybe we're doing like a Silk on the Angela lane and as well as a Jeff on the Angela lane. Right. So then, so those are both buffing Angela, and they can move. They can move out of Angela's lane to create more space for more procs on Angela, while also moving into Craven's lane and buffing Craven. And Angela and Craven, it's another goal for both of those cards oftentimes is to keep them under 9. So you're buffing them up to 8, trying to strategically keep them under 9 so they're immune to Shang-Chi. Meanwhile, we have our own Shang-Chi if we need it. Spider-Man, his latest change has been really impactful. A super fun card to play. Like, same thing. Obviously, like Spider-Man now on reveal moves himself as well as an opponent's card to another lane, so he can move 2 into Craven's lane. Like he can also just like really disrupt your opponent's plan. Like if they've got Lockjaw, you're moving their Lockjaw um, out of the lane that they may have played Wasp in this turn, right? So like now Wasp isn't going into Lockjaw, but they may have also played a big card that they wanted to keep in the lane that you move Lockjaw to. So now that card's like disappearing for them.
And it moves it before the reveal. Is that right?
Yes, yeah.
If you're playing first.
Right, which I do have a little bit of a gripe with that. It can be very confusing as far as like
Because
what.
most abilities don't affect the unrevealed cards.
Right, yep, there's that. And then it's like when a card's unrevealed and it moves, like let's say the opponent played a card on Angela's lane and Spider-Man moves it when it's before it's revealed. That does still buff Angela, even though it's moved off of Angela's lane before it was revealed. However, if an opponent plays a card on Sinister London and Spider-Man moves it off before it's revealed, that
What's
does
Sinister
not.
London again?
Sinister London creates a copy in another lane of the card of whatever card you played. And so if you're moving an unrevealed card off of Sinister London, it does not get copied. And I guess I think the way that works is if it's a card ability, it counts as being played there, even if it gets moved. But if it's a location effect,
It doesn't count unless it's played.
yeah, unless it actually gets revealed there, it's got to be revealed. And that's just it's annoying, it's confusing, and
I guess if it's a rule, it's a rule. But
well,
yeah, maybe there's not a lot of time to encounter that yet.
yeah, to me it seems like it's more of a back end thing. Like that's just kind of how things work on the back end in the game. So that's just how they're gonna work for now. But I suspect Second Dinner may eventually address that because they want it to be easy to understand what's happening, and right now it's confusing.
I mean,
Um,
I guess to me that makes sense. Actually, to me that makes sense. Like, the where you are is not impacting what happens to you unless you're actually, like arriving in that location.
right, but it's like contradicting. It's kind of a contradiction because it's different for different parts of the game, I guess.
I guess I'm okay with it as long as I understand the rule. But it certainly is not, you know, I don't know, obvious.
It's not intuitive by any means, I don't
Yeah.
think.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I forgot that the Spider-Man also pulls the enemies across. But like, still, to me, that's a lot of action on moving the characters to your Craven, the opponent's cards, right? Like, why?
yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, I guess that's just kind of more mechanisms to boost Craven. But it seems to me that this deck, like, it'd be hard to keep Craven under 8 or
Right,
8 or
that's true.
under.
That is true. That is a good point. It can maybe. I mean, the problem with that is there is a lot of randomness involved in that because like Silk's gonna move to a random lane. Sometimes you're really gonna low roll, and she's never gonna land on Craven. Same with Spider-Man. Spider-Man is gonna move to a random lane. It's either gonna move Spider-Man plus an opponent's card to Craven's lane or to the other lane. So Craven's either gonna get 2 bonuses or 0 when you play Spider-Man, and that's just kind of like just some of the RNG randomness involved. And that's okay because the deck is so powerful to kind of like you've got other things happening. And so I want to talk about what Safety Blade added to this deck, which I just think is just crazy powerful, is the Wave, Arrow, and Magneto. Um, so this is a really popular strategy in just in competitive play, is when you're playing against a deck that you know that deck wants to play 2 cards on turn 6, you play Wave on turn 5. So now they can only play 1 card on turn 6. Um, and or if they want to play 3 or 4 cards on turn 6, or again, you're playing Wave and you're just destroying them. So like, for example, Sarah, if they're running a Sarah deck, they're trying to play like 4 cards on turn 6. You play Wave turn 5, game's pretty much over. And then even if they do have a really good turn 6 play with just 1 card, you have Arrow.
You're controlling where it goes.
Yeah, you're telling them where they're putting it. And so, I mean, if you're winning 2 lanes, game's basically over. If you play Wave turn 5 and you've got Arrow. Plus on Wave on turn 5, you may have an Angela turn 5, Jeff turn 5, Silk turn 5. You know, you've got a lot of other good cards to play on turn 5 with that Wave. The Magneto is a really similar play, just depending on who you're going up against. If they've got a lot of 3 or 4 cost cards on the board, you know, if it's a Zabu Darkhawk deck, you know, like they're going to be playing Darkhawk, some other 4 costs. You're moving those all to the same lane. One other quick thing, I had thought I changed this. The version of this that I'm actually running right now, I think this is it. I think so. This is a Safety Blade version. The other one may also be Safety Blade. Did the exact same thing. But I took out Legion and I put armor back in, just because again I've been losing. That's the thing. I lose to destroy if I don't have armor. So I do like having armor in the deck, and it's okay to not have Legion in this for this deck. Legion is a really impactful card, but I think it's this deck can do a lot without him, and armor has been important for me.
Well, and also, I guess that also protects your over leveraged cards, Angela and Craven. So it kind of doubles down in allowing, you know, the higher end of some of those powers. But I've tried, yeah, Legion. I mean, we chatted about it last time. I tried it in this discard deck I'm working on, and I mean, it's fun. I think it's a very fun gadget. I think that a deck that has more tailored to its use. I think that would probably work better for what I'm trying to do. So it's just like it didn't actually add anything to the deck. I don't know, like to the other mechanism I was kind of working on. But
I recommend playing him a little more. Like I think you eventually will start noticing more and more situations where it's like Legion just wins you the game. And I mean,
it's been fun. It's been fun for me to turn off the turn 7 hose. That's definitely one. But yeah, I mean that's true. I should do so.
Yeah, like I mean, here's another example. Like, yeah, absolutely, turning off turn 7 will just win you a lot of games. The what's that one? Oh, I can't remember now. The location that gives all of the other lanes its power. You know, like if you have 20 power in that location, it gets added to the other lanes. You know, in those games, you know, a good strategy is to just like put all of your big cards in that one lane because it's going to be added to the other lanes. But with Legion, you can turn that off. You can turn that location off on turn 6 just by complete surprise. But that is so many good tactics like that where I really think Legion can go in any deck because of stuff like that you can just really mess up your opponent's game plan based on the location.
All right, tell us how would you counter this deck?
Yeah, great question. This is a really tough one to counter, honestly. Like that's one reason why it's so powerful. Hard to counter, right? We're trying to stay under Shang-Chi. So Shang-Chi's not going to counter it.
I guess having your own Craven.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. Playing the mirror match is one way. Yeah, or yeah, just putting your own. That's a really good idea. Just throw Craven into every deck if you're seeing it a lot. And I'd have to say like the metagame is really healthy right now, so we're not I'm not seeing the same decks over and over again, which I really appreciate. But if you know, I think there are still pocket metas like you know your experience may be different just based on like your personal matchmaking, which we can talk about more how matchmaking works. But you may have a completely different experience. You may be seeing this deck over and over again and really want to counter it. Um, and again, like I said, it's hard to counter. You know, so, obviously one way to counter decks is just play your own really strong deck. There are a lot of other really strong decks out there, so maybe you're not necessarily trying to counter a particular card in this. You're just playing a really powerful destroy deck, for example. Just trying to play around armor. And maybe they don't have armor. A lot of this deck isn't running armor. So if you're playing a really powerful destroy deck, um, that I think that has a good matchup against this as long as they're not running armor. Some cards that do counter this deck at least a little bit. I haven't tested too much with any of these, but Valkyrie and Shadow King are cards that I mean Shadow King in particular will bring Angela back down to 0, bring Craven back down to 2. Um, say Nebula is another one that it can affect in this deck. Um, and Valkyrie similarly is going to bring everything down to 3. So if you're running those two cards, they can be good. I think Gambit is another one that I've struggled against, a turn 3 Gambit. If I only have my Angela or only my Craven on the board, a turn 3 Gambit it has a pretty high likelihood of hitting one of those. Um,
Or a Wang Gambit.
yes, yes, yep. A Wong Gambit could hit both of them.
So actually, yeah, this is I think an interesting question or interesting point here, is that a lot of I'd have to like see the abilities written out, but a lot of the movement abilities don't they're not ongoing. Like I feel like some of them should be ongoing. That's one thing. Maybe this is a great topic for next time is to understand the distinction, like why certain cards' abilities are ongoing and others are just kind of written in stone and are untouchable, right? Because you've got these cards that just move around, and what can stop that? Nothing can shut that down. Like there's no card that just disables the text on the card kind of thing, and so you've got like a Jean Grey, which maybe like forces where a card is going to be played. But once it's out, then okay, it can just kind of slip around and keep moving wherever it's going to go. So I think that that's I guess I don't know if this is a trend in the meta, but I feel like that's kind of an area for exploitation. Cards that have text that is neither on demand or ongoing are kind of it's a like kind of there's not much you can do to counter them.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. That's yeah, great point. And I would say like just the distinction really is the reason that these aren't ongoing is because they have some other trigger, whereas like ongoing cards are generally cards that like their effect is always happening. Like Iron Man, for example, he's always doubling his location. Whereas these ones, Craven needs another trigger, Angela needs another trigger. It's not something that's like always happening. It's based on a trigger. But on the other hand, um, what's his name? Morbius is ongoing even though he's triggered, right? Like he gets
And
charged.
also, and how is that? Yeah, okay, yeah, that's Morbius is one that's like why is he getting credit for things that happened before he was out?
Mm,
I feel like that's like a weird loophole as well. But
yeah.
let's table that and we can discuss. Maybe that'll be one of our special topics is like the mechanical distinction between abilities, particularly of those types. Um,
Okay.
so each episode we're gonna have a special topic,
Oh,
and
sorry. I've
oh,
got one more quick
sorry.
slide before we get there. I'll do this really fast. I just want to talk about a little bit about my process for building decks. I think it's a good segue to our next topic too. In that, like, I do a lot of net decking, and I like to find decks on the internet and just copy them. Right? I think it's a really good strategy. Some people don't like the lack of originality with it, but I want to give some credit to some. Well, I want to talk a little bit about my method, which is my favorite place to find decks is on Twitter/X. And I just want to give credit to some of the top accounts that I get decks from, but also just point out that there are many, many other, like I feel bad leaving out so many other names from here. But if you just go on to Twitter and follow these 5 accounts, is a great way to find the top decks. The reason I like Twitter the best for this is because the metagame is so healthy, it's just constantly changing. And so you want to get those instant updates. And we get instant, these 5 accounts are posting updates all the time of what the best decks are. So KM Best, Lambie Series, Safety Blade, Snap Judge Cast are all very, any given day, you're going to find some really good decks from these folks. And then the last one is, the first 4 are going to be really competitive decks usually. The last one is going to have a lot of variety. Snap decks, essentially, if you want to go on a Twitter and tag Snap decks, they'll just repost your deck. Whatever deck you want, they'll repost it for you to a big audience. And it's a great way to just find a big variety of decks. You can find people at your own level, just your own play style. They're going to post a lot of good stuff.
So the Snap decks, they'll post your deck even if it's not any good. They'll just post literally.
I believe so. Maybe maybe in the comments if someone can confirm that for us. From my understanding, it seems like Snap decks will just post anything you want them to post. I may be wrong. Maybe they have some.
Here's a picture of me cooking in the kitchen.
It has to be a deck. I think that's the only qualification, but I'm not positive.
I'm standing on my deck cooking dinner. So question. So follow-up question then is, so all these top decks here. Now, do they? These decks, I guess, are by the top gamers who own all the cards, and so, do they have some variations, or is this mostly people are going to? You kind of would need to have most or all of the cards for a lot of these decks, and then you'd have to work out your own substitution patterns if you don't have them, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, great question. I think that all 4 of those top 4 accounts, I think that they're very like the community is amazing. Okay, the Snap community is really amazing. It's really fun, really good discussions on Twitter as well. And if you see a deck on there that you don't have all the cards for, I think any one of these creators would be happy to have a conversation with you about how to find a substitution for that. So if you just say like, Cam Best posts a deck that has Jeff in it and you don't have Jeff, you can just ask him what's a good substitution for Jeff. It's also a good thing to practice too, finding your own substitutions, because your own substitutions, may also be improvements to the deck too. It's just good practice, and especially like if it's a deck that's really popular, you throw in your own surprise cards, right? Like you're missing a card from that deck, throw in a surprise card that you do have that's going to surprise your opponent.
Like Quicksilver.
Yeah. Widely considered one of the worst cards in the game, but throw it in, they'll be very surprised to see it, and they may just like faint, right? They may. I will shout out another content creator who's phenomenal at giving substitution suggestions is Posey Snap. So I think most of his content's on YouTube. He's got a podcast too, but he's if you watch his videos, he's gonna share a lot of substitutions. He'll tell you which cards are essential or critical for the deck, which ones you can substitute out, and what he'd recommend for those.
That's a good one. We should we'll include that. Maybe we'll have an ongoing list of our recommendations page that we can have on the bottom of our pod feeds here. Great. Anything else on this?
Nope. Let's move on.
All right. So what's our special topic for today, Hoagiez?
Well, yeah, I think this is a great first topic for our first podcast, just because I think that's kind of our it really hits on our goal of the podcast is increasing our own enjoyment of the game by having a fun discussion about it, also increasing our listeners' enjoyment of the game by talking about it with us, and but also that you and I both have very different approaches to the game. So I consider myself a semi-competitive Marvel Snap player. I definitely want to qualify with that with semi, and I think there's two aspects to being a competitive player. One is that you play it a lot, so I definitely put in those hours that a competitive player would. The other aspect is having a very high skill level, and that's the one that's a little more questionable for me. I some days I feel like it's up there, but I want to qualify that I consider myself semi competitive. I'm always trying to learn, but that's what part of what I want to do on this podcast is take you all on that learning journey with me. Um, and then Gathron considers himself more of a casual player. And I don't want to say that either of those approaches are right or wrong. I want to just talk about, compare and contrast, talk about the differences, different ways that we enjoy the game, and that we can all kind of learn from each other's experience. And I will say one thing I think we agree on is we all want to win, right? That's part of how we have fun is winning. So we'll talk about some strategies for winning too.
Yeah, I think that's why this pod is fun for both of us, is because we come at this from two different perspectives or two different experiences of playing the game. And I like the game, but I guess it's maybe, I mean, probably realistically speaking, not as much as Hoagiez does. And Hoagiez is much more deeply invested in, the highest level of the discourse and the gameplay. And I just play it for fun, casually, on my phone. Sometimes I play when I walk to work, or when I'm in the restroom, I suppose I could say, or taking a break from work, or sometimes even, I'm about to start a work call and I've got 15 minutes, maybe fire up a little game here, or at night play a little bit here and there. But, I don't, my approach to enjoying the game is just kind of playing decks that I enjoy. I honestly, and I guess as a long-term lifelong gamer, I do, the collection of rewards resonates with me, and spending those credits. And so I definitely always play my daily rewards, and I have decks which are tailored to achieving, certain rewards. For example, playing 4 cost cards or 5 cost cards. And so I get my fix in that way. And I usually have 2 or 3 decks that I just play. And even though I don't have all the cards, and I don't always win, sometimes I do win. And yeah, I enjoy that. And I enjoy, I guess, my decks that I've created by myself. But I think that, through these conversations, I'm, seeing, maybe understanding the game in a more deep level. And I think that we'll see how that affects my strategizing in my own deck building and playing experience as we move forward.
Um, yeah, that's the awesome, great summary. I have some follow-up questions.
Yeah.
Um, so what do you play every day?
I would say in the regular situation, I do. Like I think when I took a trip not too long ago, and I wasn't really focused on my phone that much. But yeah, during the course of a day, I achieve all my awards, and sometimes after I do, I stop playing.
Okay. Did um how would you feel if you missed a mission? Like if you didn't have time to get to the game and you let some credits go by missing one of your
I would
daily
not. I would really not care that much at all. It's like 0%.
Interesting.
It's all additive, but I know it's meaningless at the end of the day. That there'll be more tomorrow.
Right, right.
And you know, I I was discussing this last time. Really, my experience is just, especially in terms of like leveling up my variance, is I just go from top to bottom, and I just if I see that little pixie dust indicator that I can level up a card, then that's the first one I go for. So all my higher cost cards, I those are have had no like almost have no variance in terms of just like leveling them up. So and then you have to just keep doing that process so you can get to your spotlight caches.
Um, are you Series 3 complete?
How would one even know that?
Um, yeah, good question. I was trying to figure that out because it's changed a little bit. Um, but essentially it's like you would know based on oh, yeah, okay, here's how you would know. If you can get cards in your regular caches, in your regular collection reserves, then you are not Series 3 complete. If all of your regular like gold caches, if all of those have other things, they don't have new cards, they just have other things in them, that means you're Series 3 complete.
Then I'm 98% sure I am.
Okay. Okay, interesting. Um and yeah, and so being Series 3 complete, I think like again, like Lauren whatever's article about how to get like close to collection complete, like I think now that you're Series 3 complete, I think you're very close to being at that point where you can like as long as you're if you're strategizing right with those spotlight caches, like you can get all those Series 4 and Series 5 cards or most of them. Um
I want to play Thanos. I've been playing this game forever. It's like I don't even. I mean, maybe I wouldn't even play it that much. I don't know, but it's just it is a little bit annoying that there's just certain types of decks. Like
yeah,
I just want to Galactus someone in the face. Is that too much to ask? Like just
well,
once?
and un and this is I don't know if I don't know how frustrating it's going to be when I say this. Um,
Sounds like
it's
pretty high.
it's unfortunate that you just missed a Thanos. Thanos was just recently in the spotlight caches, and so was Galactus. But they'll be back. I don't, and that's one thing I don't like. I don't know. That's a new system. I don't know how often they're going to rotate back in. But yeah, definitely like start saving up your spotlights. And when Thanos comes back, I would recommend opening Thanos. He's a ton of fun. He's in competitive decks very frequently, but also it's just so much fun to have in a game where you only get 12 cards to play a Thanos deck. Now you have 18 cards, and there's just so many options with those cards. It's hard to learn. Like that's part of my experience in general. Tomorrow when I open up Silver Samurai, I'm gonna be frustrated at first when I start playing with him because I'm always bad at the card when it first comes out. I'm just gonna lose a lot with him, and like Thanos is like that experience, you know, times times 100. Like the learning curve can be pretty difficult, so it's gonna be frustrating when you first open them and start playing with them. But once you get the hang of all the different stones and how they work, like he is a ton of fun.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I'll report back if I in 10 years.
So again, I consider myself semi competitive. I probably play 3 or 4 hours every day on weekdays, more on the weekend. I really enjoy the game. I love it. I've been playing since global release. And let's see, I am, I follow a lot of content as well. The biggest places I go are Twitter/X, Twitch, watch a lot of streamers on Twitch. Um, and yeah, I guess those are kind of my two places I go to learn from the community. I do a little bit of Reddit as well. I like to test a lot of different decks. And then I part of how I enjoy the game is I really want to win. I want to do everything I can to optimize my gameplay and win the game. Um, and again, so I do that by looking up decks. I want to play a lot of the top meta decks, but I also do want to create my own decks and try to surprise my opponent too. Um, I do find I win more when I net deck. But then I still tweak those net decks and put some surprises in there. Or when if I'm noticing that I keep losing to the same types of decks, then I want to, find a way to beat those decks and see if that improves my overall experience with that deck. Um, Yeah, I guess I also really enjoy the variants. That's something new for me. I essentially, I started out by mostly just wanting to get new cards and experience all the different new cards. But now I'm getting closer to collection complete. I do really enjoy the variants and it does increase like my enjoyment of certain decks. Like I got the new Rock Slide variant, one of the new Rock Slide variants, then like that made me enjoy playing Rock Slide more. I have to say, like it's just
Hmm.
it's more fun, and so I kind of like trying to get at least one variant for each of the cards that I play a lot. So one variant that I like. Um, yeah, so I kind of go back and forth. In an average week, I'm probably gonna spend a lot of time on one deck and really focus on like doing really well with one specific deck. And I play a lot of conquest mode. That's so
Hmm.
I conquest mode just launched like a couple months ago. Before conquest mode launched, of course, we were all playing the most for the most part, we were all playing the same ladder mode. And back then it was harder for me to get to infinite on ladder mode. I still got to infinite most months. They've done some tweaks to ladder, and now I generally get to infinite day one or day two of the season, and then I switch to conquest. I play conquest the rest of the month. And again, my goal is to, I want to win a lot. I want to get a lot of or a lot of gold tickets, infinite tickets. I got a lot of infinite tickets for the first 3 weeks of the month. Next week is the fourth week. I've got 13 infinity tickets. That I want to try to get those infinity borders, as many as I can this week. And so,
What's an infinity border?
so that's the prize for winning 5 matches in a row with an infinity ticket. All right.
I've
Have
never
you
even earned an infinity ticket.
have you
I think,
played have you played Conquest much?
yeah. So that's actually so. So my thought here is number one. You've thought about the this answer more than I have, or maybe this just this question more than I have, or maybe you just have a deeper playing approach to the game. But what I found, and I think that my answer goes lays in with this, is that I'm much more of like a one or two game kind of player. Those I have played the Conquest, but the games take so much longer uh, that and I guess I don't want to lose my entry ticket or so like I'm very casual in terms of just retreating from a game if there's a phone call or I'm just like not feeling it. But I guess that kind of requires more well, probably like 20 to 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I've definitely been in that situation. In fact, I was playing on one of my gold tickets. I think it was game three of my gold. So you have to win 3 games in gold to get to infinite, to get an infinity ticket, right? And I think I was on the third game, and the doorbell rang, and it was one of my neighbors telling me about her missing cat. And I had to be polite and concede my game. Um, it was just fine. It's one gold ticket. Who cares? Um, and
Well, so,
so,
but to get a gold ticket, you have to do what?
so you start out in proving grounds. Um, proving grounds is one match.
And it gets you the entry ticket.
That gives you a silver ticket, right? If you win proving grounds, you get a silver ticket. Then anyway, you use your silver ticket, you have to win 2 matches to get a gold ticket. If you win, um, so then if you use your gold ticket, you've got to win 3 matches to get an infinity ticket. And then infinity is only available the last week of the season. So
And then you have to win five in a row
you
for
do it
infinity.
5 in a row to get an infinity border on your avatar, which is kind of a lame reward, but I like that it's not like a really awesome reward because it's
Ugh.
like super hard and you don't want to put that. It's like, I mean, it's supposed to be extremely difficult, right, to win this, which it is. But you don't want,
And
you
and
just
the
don't,
reward is a border for your avatar.
right. Well, yeah, like what I like about that is they're intentionally not creating too much FOMO for people who can't get there, right? And that's like I think that's a really positive because what they could do instead is like is is make that a really good reward that and create a lot of FOMO and then people feel like they have to spend a lot of money to try to get that reward. And I'm glad that they
Isn't
don't.
isn't isn't that what they're trying to do?
No, because the reward's not that great. I mean, yeah, they are trying to do that to some
So
extent for
this is
sure.
this is kind of like a little capitalism counterbalance, is what you're saying. Like kind of your point that they're not just extremely money hungry.
Right, right. Well, yeah, and they I mean, everyone needs to make money for sure. I mean, and the thing is like the thing is if they did do it worse, like people would complain more about it and it might be bad for the game too. They might make less money because people are mad about that, right? So like but I do think I think they're doing the right thing there. And yeah, so for me, like I enjoy conquest mode more. I hear your points about like the reasons why the regular ladder matches are fun for sure, and they're more casual. And that is one thing that kind of sucks is that they take longer, right? And that you're tied to the game. Like it's not a game that you can pause. So if I get interrupted, I've got to concede or I've got to ignore my interruption, right? Like I can't do both. Um, so that is a little bit annoying about Conquest. You gotta
Daddy,
have
look
the
at me! Look at what I'm doing! Not now!
yeah, does the situation does happen.
I'm
Um,
about to score my infinity ticket.
the so one other nice thing about Conquest mode is Proving Grounds, the bottom level, is also really like it's basically also an unranked mode that gives you a prize if you win, but you don't have to care that much about it. And a lot of the community snaps turn one in Proving Grounds just to make it, so you're basically
Faster.
playing like just one game. You're snapping turn one. You're planning on just playing one game. Um,
I
but then you
cannot
get a
tell you
silver.
how many times I've lost the first one and had 2 bars left, and then just had to beat the guy like 4 more times like to come back. It's just like like kill me. That's what I don't like
Oh, well,
is
yeah, but you can just concede then. Like
no, but like you mean if I lose the first one, just concede?
if you lose eight, I mean, it depends. To me, for me, it depends which level I'm on. If I'm in Proving Grounds and I lose 8 cubes, I'm conceding. Like I don't care enough about the silver ticket to try to come back from that.
No,
Um,
I'm an FU kind of guy, so I keep playing and then I beat them, and it takes me like 30 minutes to shove it in their face.
right, and that's fun. That is fun. Especially if they're spamming emotes, and then you come back and beat them. That and then I'll if they spam a lot of emotes, I usually don't do anything back. But if they just give me one or two of like the Ms. Marvel emotes, I love just coming back and
What's a Miss
winning.
Marvel
And
emote?
the Ms. Marvel thumbs up, which is
Oh,
for me the most triggering emote in the game. Uh, I just want to give one Ms. Marvel back
like
to him
the
at the end.
no, yeah, no, it is interesting. I think as the more I've played more, when I've won more, I think I kind of I'm just kind of like little I dap it up quick. But actually, I like to go with the like I don't believe you or I'm confident, just to kind of force them into playing. That way, I can if I think I'm gonna win, I don't believe you or I'm confident because then they always kind of take that like maybe a round 5 snap into round 6 if I really am confident because I want to get all the boosters off of them and not have them run away. So I like to kind of put them in there, and then I like the little Deadpool kind of like,
Yes,
like
right.
I'm smarter than you idiots.
I so I think this is one I'm more sensitive. I'm sensitive to emotes. I mute players if they're if if I if I don't like their emote style, I'm gonna mute them because I know that I'm sensitive and I'm gonna fall victim to some of like the mind games that they're playing with me, and I just want like and yeah that and I just don't want I don't want to play the mind games. I don't want them to think that I'm being like a jerk, so I don't
I love the thumbs up like, good job, buddy. Good job on like,
and that
yeah, I won all three. Like I love doing that. I think I'm a sick bastard.
that's fu-
But
I no I appreciate that people enjoy that, and I enjoy it in theory. It's just in practice I'm too sensitive.
I wish, you know what? I wish they had like a good game instead
Yeah,
of the pound,
I like yeah.
because the pound is like means good game essentially,
Mhm.
but then I have to do it back. Like like it's kind of like I'm pounding you, you're pounding now. It's like I just want to be like good game. That's it.
Yeah, that's up.
Like even
I mean, that's what
as
it's.
I'm winning, because it kind of if they do it, then I have to decide if I'm gonna do it back or not, right?
Oh, right, right. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I don't. Yeah, you
It's
can
like,
leave
okay, am
it.
I gonna try to quickly,
Right. Yeah, it is. It is kind of hard to like, yeah, quickly do it.
okay.
Remember where it is and how to.
All
Yeah,
right, so I want to ask you an unscripted question here. So
yeah.
what something I never understood, maybe you can clear this up as this might help me enjoy the game more, my experience. How come sometimes I get to see the play field after we finish and sometimes I don't?
I don't know.
Like I feel like it's inconsistent, or I don't know how to trigger a return to the playing field so I can review what happened. Sometimes it just have closes out, and if I tap anywhere on the screen, it just ends. But other times it shows me the play field.
I guess in my experience, I think it depends on what if you and again I haven't played ladder in a while, so I don't remember exactly what it looks like at the end of a ladder game. But in Conquest, there's a next button at the bottom, right? And you have if you want to review the game, you just make sure you don't push that next button on the bottom right. Um,
Okay,
and
I'll
so
try that
yeah,
out.
I've never had that problem if I don't push that button, right? Like if I don't push that button, I can always review. I can review the field. Can't review previous turns. You can't see what's in your discard or destroy, what's been destroyed and stuff, which is
No, I don't care about that.
well, I do. I
But
hope they eventually add that, but it's not a huge deal not having it. But there are times when, you know, you looked away for a second and you missed what Yondu pulled off the top of your deck, stuff like that, or what Sokovia discarded from your hand. Um, but but yeah, I think you should be able to review the board as long as you don't and sometimes I'm just automatically pushing buttons, and that's another thing I actually a small pet peeve I have is like proving grounds. We both snap. Um, I lose if I'm planning on conceding, but I just automatically push next, and now we gotta like start the next game before I can concede, which is
so
just
can't you just concede in about 2 seconds after that?
yeah. But you have to wait for the opponent to push next, and they might be like expecting you to concede and just waiting for you to concede. You gotta wait for them to push next, and so you both can start the game. It takes a few seconds to start the game. Then you have to retreat the game and then concede the match. Is just like a little annoying if I
I see.
accidentally push the next button.
I see. Well, I guess this demonstrates which gameplay mode either of us are occupying more. But all right, let's move on. And before we do, I'll just say to our audience, yeah, please share with us in the chat what your approach is to enjoying the game. What game modes do you play? Um, how and when do you play? We'd love to hear from you. All right, so how would you like to wrap our first official episode of the Snap Chaps?
Oh man, I didn't plan ahead for a wrap up. You got any ideas?
Let's just say thank you. Thank you to you, Hoagiez, for preparing all of this and for leading our discourse and for being my partner in pod. And also thank you to our listeners for our first one. And it only gets better from here. And we're excited to have this weekly conversation about this game and anything else that's tangentially related to it.
Yeah, I want to just reiterate the thanks. Let us know what you think. I had a ton of fun on this one. I don't know about you. This was awesome for me. I've been looking forward to it all week as we've been planning it, and I really appreciate the conversation. So thanks for talking with me.
Absolutely. So thanks, everyone, and see you next time.